Hey Tom, I'm teabagging.
Oh, are you there, bud?
Yeah. I'm giving my tea a water bath.
Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Jose. Yeah, listen to this one's coming. You know what it is? What? It's Strange Brew
podcast.
What's up, everybody out there? Everyone that's out there in the host head world.
Hey.
What's going on? Anton said the intro needs to be more intense. More intense.
7 intros. We're not good with 3. We need 7. We need 7 consecutive intros so that people just tune out completely.
Oh yeah, you know I'm drinking on an IPA. You know what it's called?
It's called Tom Drinks the Shittiest Beers Known to Man.
I love IPAs. They're
would.
strong, delicious beer. And
hipster cunt.
Yeah, I love IPAs, and it is appropriate for us.
Illiterate librarians. Yeah, that's you.
Pretty much, which is a hilarious name because a librarian, right? Know the one thing they need to do for the job qualification
Know how to read.
Is to know how to read.
Yeah.
And I got it. It's I fucking pouring this shittily, but I got it in my beer mug. It is a full pint too. I thought it was a half pint, but it's a full pint. Like, it fits almost a full fucking tall boy.
Okay.
Pretty awesome. Everybody, you can get fucking beer mugs on the website now. On the merch site.
Strange Brew.
Yes, you can find it at www.strangebrewttv.com. So that's a lot of fun. I think it's awesome. I'm probably going to collect all of our logos and our designs in beer cups because I think it's fucking dope.
Guano bowls. Collect the whole set.
Didn't you have weren't you going to steal Billy's dad joke today?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did. I'm just fixing the camera.
The camera. Good thing I edited the
audio.
I cannot pour beer.
What?
I cannot pour beer. This beer's got too much head.
There's no such thing as too much head. Except for when you're already done coming and they just keep sucking. It's like, stop, please. You're doing nothing for me.
It's good. I'm done. I'm done. Okay? I'm done.
Are you done? Are you sure you're done? Are you
Done
actually
like
done?
dinner.
Are you done?
All right.
Are you done?
Shut the fuck up.
Are you done? They found traces of semen in her ear. I guess you could say she heard the killer coming. Yeah!
Stupid. Yeah, shout out to everybody that has given us a 5-star review on iTunes and Apple Podcast. We love you. We appreciate you. It does really help out the podcast when you leave a 5-star, 5 stars, and when you leave a nice comment.
Thanks for giving us a review. It really helped us out.
Yeah, it helped us out. Yes, we appreciate everyone that has, given us a 5-star review and a comment. It overshadows the couple negative comments that we get.
Your skeleton's balls just fell off.
I know. What the fuck, man? Frank's little buddy died. Frank's buddy fucking got fucked.
Not my buddy. What happened to my buddy?
I think it's appropriate. I have Frank the Skeleton Man in the background. I think it's very appropriate for this episode, considering this guy dissolved people in vats of acid, barrels of acid.
I'm drinking green tea in honor of it.
Are you? Well, why? Why green tea?
Because it's green, like acid.
Are you sure acid's green? Is that
no? It's just a stereotype. Like the I'm going off of that documentary that we've all watched and played, Mortal Kombat.
Is that a documentary?
Yes, it's Mortal Kombat. There's nothing else that's truer than
Mortal Kombat.
Oh,
fuck you, Billy.
I thought it was
Billy.
I thought it was really funny. Shout out to can't remember your name, but someone just recently left a review, and we appreciate you very much. All the people that have, but someone left a review. They're like, you know what? Like, I love Billy. I don't really know why he's funny, but every time he's on, he makes me laugh. And I was like, I just said to Billy, and I was like, she doesn't know. I think it was a girl. If it was a guy, I might be mistaken, but I think it was a girl's name. I think it was Katie or something like that. I could be wrong. Here, I'll look it up very quickly.
Do you think it was actually just Billy leaving a review for himself?
Yeah, it was his girlfriend and fucking used a different name.
Okay. Because
Yeah,
every review that says, "Oh, that Anton guy is super cool," I hate to tell you this.
Yeah, yeah.
I wrote that. I wrote that.
No, shout out Katie. Yeah, she said that she loves when Billy's on, but she obviously still loves us. But she just said that every time Billy's on, it makes her laugh, and she doesn't know why. And I was like, "Hey, Billy, she doesn't know why you're funny." He's like, "That's awesome," but he's like, "She damn well knows why I'm funny."
Funny looking.
Yeah. All right, I've wanted to get in this for a while. This is a case I looked up a long time ago, and it's more well known, but not as I don't think ever unless you're really big into true crime, you'll have heard of this. But if you're not, this is something new for your ear holes. But we're going to talk about John Haigh, the acid bath murderer.
Yeah, the picture I'm looking at right now, homeboy's got a little bit of a Hitler stash going on, and he also looks like he could be played by Clive Owen.
Yeah, I could see it. I could definitely see it. Yes. We're going to talk about John Haigh. This is a pretty interesting story. And as I said, we're going to dive back, into the 40s, into the 50s, and then start really ramping up to the real hot spots of serial killers, which is, the hot spots for serial killers was the 70s and 80s into the 90s, where, it was just a thing. It was a fad. Everybody liked to kill.
Everybody loves killing.
So I got a grapefruit IPA. I didn't know it was grapefruit, but it came in this cool little pack by this beer company. So one day we maybe get sponsored. Hey, beer companies out there, if you want us to sponsor you, or you want to sponsor us, we're the podcast for you. We drink beer almost on every episode, or at least some sort of alcohol. So make sure to message me. That's not gonna. I'm trying. If anyone's out there that's a fucking has a beer sponsor, as a beer rep or something like that, let them know. Foolishly good beer. And they came in all of them are fucking awesome looking designs on the cans. Pretty cool company. Foolishly good beer. Awesome. Show you guys out.
You want to stop plugging people who don't sponsor us?
Motherfuckers, you sponsor us, or I'll fucking come down and I'll fucking titty slap you. I don't know what's going on with my brain today. I also have some a nice little weed pen. It's the new stuff. It's pretty good.
That's right, folks. Tom's gonna take 2 hits and be incoherent by the middle of the episode.
Yep, you might see it happen. So in February of 1949, police raided a warehouse on Leopold Road in West Sussex, owned by John George Haigh. John George
Jingleheimer Haigh. That fucker killed me too.
In the inside, they found several 40-gallon drums and containers of concentrated sulphuric acid. Outside, they found 28 pounds of melted human body fat, part of a human foot and human gallstones, and a part of a fucking denture.
Hey, John, you gonna eat your fat?
Ew, I do not like fat on meat, not gonna lie.
I like a good, if it's nice and tender and it melts in your mouth. Burnt ends on brisket. It's my favorite. It's so good.
Burnt end on brisket?
Yeah, so the for all of our listeners who are barbecue aficionados, you'll know what this is. But when you cook a brisket, you cook it fat side up and you put it in the smoker. Yeah. And then when it's done, you cut that top part off, and that's a burnt end.
Not gonna lie, it's called a grapefruit IPA. I guess I can taste grapefruit a little bit. Not that much. Not as much as you expect from calling it a grapefruit IPA. So it was clear to the investigators from the acid inside what had happened. Haigh had murdered and dissolved somebody or some bodies in acid to hide his crimes. Breaking Bad style.
I was going to make that joke too. At least he didn't try it in the bathtub first and then have it fall through the floor.
Oh, yeah. That scene is pretty fucked, actually. You'd think
I love that scene where he's just you're cleaning that up.
You think you would, he's like, yo, let's do the bathtub, do science rules. And then he's like, it just corrodes the bathtub, obviously, and then it fucking falls through.
Yeah, because fucking Heisenberg tells him, he's like, you can't put sulfuric acid in ceramic, it'll dissolve it. He's like, I can fucking do that. You gotta use a plastic drum.
Jesse panics, right? He panics and he does.
No, Jesse just thinks he's fucking smarter than Walter the whole time. Jesse thinks he's smarter than Walter. And it's like, you're a meth head, you're not.
That scene where he's like a slave in for spoiler alert, when he's like a slave inside of what's his name?
Oh, when the Nazis have him all chained up and they're forcing him to cook.
Yeah, it is pretty.
It's like at the end of the series, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite shows of all time will always be Breaking Bad. It's so good. I think that I've watched it 3 times over. I'm pretty sure I have. I've done 3 or 4.
I'm on 4 or 5 just because I watched it when it was in syndication, and I got to like season 3, season 4, and then people that I was hanging out with at the time were just like, "Oh, I want to watch that show." So I'd start it over, and we'd watch that through, and then watch it all the way through. And I feel like I know a lot of people like view it the same way, like Game of Thrones, where it was like if you watched it when it came out, you were hooked, and you were really just like, "Yeah, what's gonna happen next?" And then I know a lot of other people that don't want to binge it, which I get, but like watching Breaking Bad in syndication was like, holy fuck, I need the next episode. Like, what the hell's going to happen? What's going to happen?
Man, and we, it's just a weird rant about Breaking Bad and how good the show is. That's why me and Chelsea watched it together like 3 times. Because I always love that scene of where Jesse's about to get shot by that guy, and then fucking Walter comes in with the car and just fucking run. So and then he shoots the guy. It's so fucking good. It just showed that scene, because that was in like I think the second season, just the beginning or whatever. It just showed
season 3. I think it was right after they started working with Fring.
Yeah, and this is the kind of thing where it showed how badass he was. Just like it's when he flipped and was like, all right, this guy's fucking gangster.
Yeah, the whole point of that show is pretty much just the progression and descent of Walter White.
Yes.
Like there's not much character development. I mean, Jesse develops a little bit too, but Jesse is just like trauma after trauma after trauma that fucking turns this dude into what he is. But this isn't Breaking Bad podcast.
I was gonna say, and this might be a little bit of a teaser if we ever do it on the Unreal Review.
Yeah, were we talking about John Haigh? Nah, we're talking about Breaking Bad on this episode. Fuck it.
we could do that for the Unreal Review. Remember, subscribe to the Patreon because we have a lot of fun stuff coming, and me and Anton are extremely excited to talk movies because we think it will be extremely good content for the listeners on the Patreon. It's gonna be a lot of fun shit.
Yeah, by the time this show comes out, I should have an episode of my show out as well. So
yes, it's getting
tuned
exciting.
For that.
So let's talk about John Haig's earlier life.
John Jacob Jingleheimer Haigh. I'm gonna make that joke every time.
Yeah, George Haigh was born on July 24th, 1909 in Stamford, Lincolnshire. That doesn't sound British. You got
to call it like it is, Thomas. You got to say Stamford, Lincolnshire.
All right, hit the pad. Dangerous crowds.
Stamford, Worcestershire, sauce.
His parents were John, an engineer, and Emily. The family moved to Outwood, West Riding of Yorkshire, when John was younger, and were members of the Protestant Church and the Plymouth Brethren. So what is the Plymouth Brethren?
I'm pretty sure that's the same fucking group that Aleister Crowley's dad was a part of.
Oh yeah,
hard Christians. Yeah. Yes. That's the thing, is that he had like an obscenely fundamental Christian upbringing.
Yes, what fucked him up most likely. Like,
yeah, because he had frequent nightmares, which will come into play later in the murders. About like he would be walking through the woods and he would feel rain hitting him in the face, and then he would realize that it wasn't rain, it was blood. And it's because a lot of the people talk about it, how they think that influenced his whole, outlook on, because he reported to have drank cups of his victim's blood and what have you, but they think that might have been embellished a bit. It might just be him bullshitting to, sound cooler than he is to his fellow inmates. But
yes, we'll get into why I think that he did that near the end when we discuss how he got caught, because it kind of leads up where this guy was just technically a pretty intelligent con man.
And he was a con man first and foremost. This dude just wanted, he wasn't a process killer. He wasn't a product killer. He wasn't a missionary killer. The killing was inconsequential. He said later, he's like, I never wanted my victims to suffer. It's like, well, and we'll get into it when we talk about how he killed them. But I don't think he really cared that much if they did or not. But he wanted their money first and foremost, because this motherfucker had a wicked gambling problem.
Yes, and that's what fucking spent all his money. Just gambled it all the way.
Dude could have been living fucking high on the hog if he didn't have a fucking gambling problem, because this dude got some money.
Yes.
Motherfucker got paid.
And for a long time, he could have survived if he just didn't gamble it away. If he just staved it away, he would have been done after his second victim. So
maybe.
But people become obsessed with this stuff, right? And they think that it's easy money. I'm just gonna shoot this guy in the head and then fucking throw him in an acid barrel. So
hey, he didn't shoot anybody until the final few victims.
Yeah.
Everybody else got the bludgeon in the back of the fucking head treatment.
I was watching the one documentary, it was pretty good actually, and it was almost, there was actors in it acting as like John Haigh and stuff like that.
Cool.
I thought it was pretty cool. And he's like, oh, I just hit him in the back of the head. I'll give him a little tap. And it's just like, all right, bud, that's more than a little tap if you fucking killed him with one hit.
Well, I don't think that's the thing, and we'll get into that, but I don't think he killed him with one hit. I think that a lot of those victims suffered a way more gruesome fate than we are led to believe. And there's no way to know, because by the time the cops show up, the forensic evidence is fucking goo.
Yeah, it's goo.
It's goo. Spray him a goo. Ah!
Haigh was a fan of classic music and played the piano. He was a good student who won scholarships to Queen Elizabeth Grammar School, unlike Tomcat, and Wakefield Cathedral, where I went to. I was like, what's a really stupid person?
Tom attended the Charles Manson Grammar School. I don't need fucking punctuation, motherfucker. I don't need to know how to spell. Man, I'm the goddamn spider. Everybody want to spell like Charles Manson. I invented words, motherfucker.
Yes, I would have loved to go to Charles Manson's school, man. I would have been a hook, line, and sinker. You just do acid as he fucking speaks to you about ways that you can murder people in their homes.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds horrible.
I think
like,
it sounds
if I'm able to like go in a time bubble where nothing can hurt me, sure, totally.
Yes,
but
I know, because I would be blamed for the things that he may have done, or at least influenced me to do. But I would just
was arrested for the Tate LaBianca murders.
I go back in time, and it's fucking, and then you're like, what? The timelines change, and you see the picture like in fucking Back to the Future where it changes, and it's my face instead of Charles Manson.
It's one of your goofy ass refaces, and you just become Charles Manson. And be like, man, this fucking. Me and Juan are just like, we told him. Told him not to go back, but
he did. So where he became a choir boy, and he was a good little choir boy.
Look at that. That's a face only a priest could fuck.
Exactly. Haigh himself claimed his childhood was bleak and lonely, and his only friends were pets and neighborhood dogs.
Ronry. So Ronry.
Also a great movie. That's real. I watched that movie with my parents. It was fucking.
Oh, that's going to be an unreal review. We're definitely doing Team America.
Yeah.
Oh, Hans Brarick. I fucking hate that guy. Oh, hello, Hans Brarick. So good to see you again.
I was at my mom's friend's house. And was trying to stay on topic, but I just want to say that this kid just was crying, laughing. He's probably like 12 or 13. We're all like, I don't know, 12 or 13, whatever. And the parents are watching it with us. And the scene where they fuck as dolls, it's just like he cried laughing because he's like, they got no parts to fuck. Like
every position possible. And then she shits on him. Like, it's so ridiculous, dude.
So Haigh had an odd sense of humor, as we do, and was bullied at school. He would pull Yeah. He would pull the stool. And when I got to grade 8, then I became the bully. I was like, we own this school now, motherfuckers. And I think I've told you about putting people in the gay circle.
Tom, I'm picturing you as a bully, but you're like, we run this, but you're listening to Beyonce on your headphones. Who run this world? And instead of girls, you're like, Tom run this world.
This is awful.
I get bullied no more, bitch.
But in grade 8, we used to put people in the gay circle. I don't know why. It sounds like my kind of circle. It sounds way more homoerotic than it really was.
Was it just a bukkake circle? Or were you guys
we just circled the kids that we didn't like, and we kicked them in the nuts and called them gay. There goes fucking Frank.
You're a horrible person.
I am. And they weren't even gay. We were just calling him gay.
You know how many hit lists you're probably on?
Oh, I'm sure I am.
So many people are like, Tom, I'm gonna fucking kill that guy.
Frank up, man. Frank is a fucking massive alcoholic.
No, Frank is very disappointed in you for being such a piece of shit.
Why he fucking fell. He tried to attack me.
He's like, I'm gonna fucking kick Tom's ass.
It was only a couple fucking times, and it was we just did it to kids that we thought were losers.
You're digging your hole even deeper, buddy. Just change the subject.
I know, and everybody remember, you know what we always say at Strange Brew, right?
Everybody love everybody. Come on.
I got a ring too. You know what it says? ELE. Everybody love everybody.
So yeah, so he the thing is, he would play like stupid pranks, stuff like that, but he would pull the stool out from underneath the elderly organist when he sat down to play, which I think is slightly funny.
Organist is just a fun way of saying that they play with their dick a lot.
Yeah. It's one of those those crazy, you always see the crazy, like, what movie is that from? What's like the crazy old lady and she's just fucking playing it during the church music. Dun 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 dun. I can't remember. There's a movie
where Fan of the Opera, or you think of that episode of The Simpsons where Bart sells his soul and the old lady's playing Inagata da Vida on the organ.
Oh yeah, and she's like all
and she passes out on it at the end.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. He also chased around a pig around its sty until it died from exhaustion. Like, what an asshole, man. You're like, I love animals. They're my only friend, but fuck you, pig. One of the smartest animals out there. I'm going to fucking chase him.
Die of exhaustion on purpose. Like, okay, so fun fact for the listeners. First fish I ever caught, I accidentally killed. I was 3 years old, and I hugged it and kissed it to death. I walked around because I wanted a pet, and I was like, my fish. My dad just apparently was stoned and fishing, and he's like, wait. Oh, and then he like, threw it back in the water and then proceeded to tell me, rather than shelter his poor fragile child from the fact that the fish died.
Now, if nobody knows, there is a murder of a man in Buffalo, and they say he was bear hugged to death and buried in a
hugged
dumpster.
And kissed to death. He got his dick stuck to death.
So he chased around the pig and he killed it. Okay, Frank is not.
Go home, Frank. You're drunk.
Yeah, for all listeners, Frank is my skeleton man.
He keeps trying to give Tom a rim job, and I don't know what's going on with it.
I'll just try to keep him over so I don't hit him. I keep hitting him with my elbow. I think I get excited.
Rim job.
Murder. I get excited. So he was beaten for killing this fucking pig. For like, getting to the point of exhaustion. So yes, the pig was the pig was beaten to death, but no, he was beaten not to death. But
I don't think he was beaten to death for killing. Or I don't. God damn it, you got me doing it now. I don't think he was beaten for killing the pig, because from everything I was researching, his parents basically raised him in a way that if you're having fun, you're sinning.
Yes.
Like, so you're not supposed to have fun in this world. So maybe he was telling his parents, he's like, oh, like they were like, was it fun for you? Did you have fun, John? Yeah. And then they just beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, he's like, come here, piggy, come here, piggy. And he's like chasing it around. He's like, his dad sees him. He's like, what did I fucking tell you about having fun? I don't care if you fuck that pig, but you don't fucking play with it.
You're only allowed to murder the pig. I don't care that it died. But you were smiling, you piece of shit.
When he finished school, Haigh worked as an apprentice engineer at a firm. He subsequently got fired for adding sugar to his boss's petrol tank.
He put sugar in his boss's fucking gas tank. That's amazing.
So he played little pranks like this, like weird shit to fuck with people. And honestly, from the household he came from, he was probably just trying to have a little bit of fun because he had no friends.
Yes, innocent pranks like destroying your boss's car by putting sugar in the gas tank.
And killing a pig with your own tenacity.
He killed a pig with his mind, man.
He held other jobs in insurance and advertisement, but once again, he was fired he was accused for stealing a cash box. She's stealing from a cash box. So he was a petty criminal, a little thief. He just probably did things he thought was fun, and he's like, whatever.
He held jobs that you would expect a psychopath to hold, too.
That's
advertisement.
True. Yeah. Yeah, CEOs are fucking psychopaths now. They got fucking bodies buried in their backyards and their mansions.
I don't even know if they do. I feel like most CEOs make enough money and have a good enough life that they're not concerned with it because they know that they are responsible for at least a handful of suicides.
Well, and I think they probably have other vices like hookers and stuff like that.
I would assume they also have like canned hunts of people if they really want to kill somebody, so they make sure they don't get in trouble, or they go to international waters and just murder somebody, and then we never hear about it.
That's true. So in 1934, Haigh married Betty Hamer. It's Hamer, so I guess it is Hammer. Hamer. Betty Hamer. However, this marriage did not last long. Of course it didn't. He was arrested 4 months later for car fraud and was sentenced to 15 months in prison.
Yeah, he got caught. So what he was doing is he was basically going to car dealerships and establishing a fake line of credit under a bunch of different identities. And then he got a bunch of cars because this was back in the day when you didn't have like VIN numbers and shit.
Yeah.
He got a bunch of cars, made like a couple payments in these people's names, and then just stopped paying altogether and resold all of the cars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes, he was a con man either way. So he was
good with a good chunk of his cons. It was just a matter of him being stupid about certain things and getting overconfident and cocky.
I don't know what it is. Fucking Charlie always hitting my fucking goddamn shit. So whilst in prison, Betty gave birth to a daughter. She left Haigh and gave the child up for adoption. So he has a daughter out there somewhere that technically could still be alive, but she might not even know that she is the daughter of the acid bath murderer.
If she's lucky, yeah. I would assume that he has descendants, unless his bloodline was wiped out in like World War II or something, but probably not.
Maybe, yeah. But in 1936, John Haigh was released from prison and moved down to London. He became a chauffeur to arcade owner William McSwan, who would later become his first victim. What the fuck kind of arcade is in the 1930s? Does that mean like they played fucking pool and shit? Like, is that like
Good question? Yeah, was it a billiards hall? No, they would have just called it a billiards hall. Plus, I don't believe the English actually play pool. They play snooker.
That sounds racist.
It's dumb. Snooker's like the dumbest fucking pool game I've ever seen in my life. That's when they keep taking the balls back out of the pockets and putting them on the table.
Sounds stupid.
Stupid. It's really stupid. He did the whole prodigal son thing several times, which is when he would get arrested and he would get back out, he would go to his parents' house and basically be like, "You're Christian. You have to forgive me and give me another chance." And for a while, when he first got out, he played it real straight. Like he was like, "I'm a good choir boy. I'm sorry for my sins, blah, 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 blah." All the while just being like, "How can I get money? I want to get paid, motherfucker."
He wants to get paid. He was all about that payment. I don't know what that dog is eating. Hopefully, it's
Tom's finger popping his dog's asshole for our listeners.
Yeah, this will be edited out every time I mention him because he's just being a fucking brat. I gave him his peanut butter fucking bullshit and whatever.
It's that goddamn dog again.
So he left his employment with McSwan and invented a new persona, William Cato Adamson. Adamson was a solicitor with multiple office locations, including London and Guildford and Surrey, where he sold fraudulent stocks and shares with to unexpected victims or unsuspecting victims. This scam came to an end when somebody noticed that he spelled Guildford wrong on the letterhead. It's like, you ain't fucking doing shit for them.
He was part of the illiterate librarians club.
Exactly, he was. He was handed 4 years, 4-year prison sentence for fraud, but subsequently spent time in and out of prison for the next several years. Haigh realized that his biggest downfall was that he left fraud victims alive to report the crimes.
This just goes to show you, prison makes criminals smarter.
It does. Look at fucking good old Mancy boy.
Well, I mean, there's a reason John Dunsworth, R.I.P., the fucking goat, Jim Leahy, called it Con College.
Yep. It is because, you learn from other people how to get better. The one guy's like, you know how to get, you keep getting caught for your frauds. You know what you do, buddy? You fucking murder them. I murdered 3 people. I'm doing pretty well.
I'm definitely not in prison for those murders. So listen to me, buddy. I know what I'm talking about. No, a lot of the criminals that he interacted with, the murderers especially, would just tell him, when he would talk to him, be like, "How'd you get caught?" I'm like, "I left a body. I left evidence."
Yeah.
Like, if you don't leave evidence, you ain't getting caught.
That's what he was.
That'll come into play later.
Brainwashed to think, yes. Haigh spent his time in a prison devising ways to dispose of any witness to the crimes that he fully intended to continue committing upon release. He knew it. He was like, you know what? I'm still going to do this. I don't know how else to make money. I'm a fucking shitty person.
Yeah, well, I mean, he did not want to. He fell prey to the same thing that all con men fall prey to. You're working just as hard as if you had a fucking job, and you're usually making less money than you would if you had a normal fucking job. He just didn't. It's something psychological that they get off on the whole manipulation thing. Like if you can work a 9 to 5 and pull in $500 a week, or if you can con somebody that takes a month's planning and you get $1,000 out of it.
Yeah.
You just you feel that little twang of of satisfaction from
Mama, I made it.
That's what all the psychologists that I was researching about this were saying, is that they're like, that's a very common trait amongst con people, is that they're addicted to the rush of the con, much less so than actually the payoff.
Fucking murder this dog. Haigh spent his time in prison, so he just, oh my god, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? What? God, you're fucking retarded sometimes. This dog is retarded. He began researching the French murderer Georges Alexandre Surratt, whose signature had been dissolving his victims in sulphuric acid. Have you ever seen Kenny vs. Benny?
We've had this conversation many times. Of course I have.
I love Kenny versus Spenny. For people that are more down south in the States, you are like further away from the
They
Canadian
would have
border.
seen it because it was on Comedy Central because Trey Parker and Matt Stone produced it.
Oh yeah. Juan's never seen it. I told him it's all on YouTube for free. It's fucking hilarious. But
Juan's a baby.
what episode? Yeah, he is a baby. He's young. What episode was it where Kenny's like he has the sulphuric acid and he's seeing if it works because he wants to like kill Spenny with it or something. And Kenny's like, he pours it on like a mannequin and a banana and he's like, it's doing nothing. It's fucking acid. And he's like, it doesn't do anything. At first he tries it on like a mannequin, does nothing. And he has a whole fucking wardrobe and a suit and like how, John Haigh would dress.
Sulphuric acid doesn't dissolve plastic.
Yeah, and so he's trying to do that, and then he's like got a fucking apple, and he's like pouring. He's like, it's doing nothing. He's like, I know how much. He's like, you know how long it took me to fucking get this shit, and he's like, it's not even working.
Probably wasn't real sulfuric acid.
I know it was probably very low, chemically, low in whatever makes it acid.
Yeah, it was the pH balance was probably super fucked.
Yeah, I can't remember what episode that is, but it's fucking hilarious. It's like, what? You gotta spend all this money, man. Like, what? Like, it doesn't even work. Because he was joking about putting Spenny in the sulfuric acid or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
So obviously, you start researching this guy. He's like, oh, that makes sense. Put it, they dispose of them. And using his free time, he devised his own methods of dissolving bodies in various forms of acid by practicing on fucking mice.
Yep. When he was in prison, he would catch mice and he would do it in his cell. And then he would get to a point where he figured he knew what he was doing. And then he was ready to go out and face the world.
Eventually, that took 30 minutes for a small field mouse to dissolve. And he's doing this while he's in prison, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the big I was like, is it the big retard? Well, that still went through.
Are you going to make a Green Mile bit? No, I don't believe he had the mouse. I believe it was the other guy that had the mouse.
It was it was the creepy.
He healed the mouse. Yeah, it was what's his fuck? Yeah, that was also in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas as the narcotics officer.
Yes, and because he has the rat that's a friend. The rat gets hurt or something, and then
the mouse. I believe one of the guards kills the mouse or some stupid shit, and he fucking give me the mouse, boss.
Give me the mouse. I'll fucking heal it. I can't do a big strapping black man.
I can't watch that movie. I cannot watch a movie that hurts to watch that badly that it just makes you fucking weep like a baby every time.
They made us watch it in school, man. It's really sad.
I fell asleep. I was stoned.
So was I and drunk. Eventually so it took 30 minutes to dissolve a field mouse, and he was able to calculate how much acid and time it would need for a full grown man. So he wasn't stupid when it comes to like but the thing is, imagine if you had mild intelligence, but you devoted your whole time to figuring out what the next con is.
I think his favorite nursery rhyme was Peter Cottontail when he was a kid.
How's that go?
Here comes Peter Cottontail. Oh wait, no, that's the Easter one. What's the one about the rabbit that scoops up the field mice and smacks them on the head?
What? I've never heard that one.
You never heard that? Oh, it's an old morbid nursery rhyme that's like scooping up the field mice and bopping them on the head.
Oh, it sounds familiar.
Sounds weird. I don't know what the fuck it is.
4 years later, free from prison and armed with his macabre knowledge, John Haigh took a job at an engineering firm and an accounting department. Soon after, he ran into an old friend named William McSwan, who he'd worked for as a chauffeur.
Yeah, the family that he worked for.
Yeah, McSwan told him about his new venture as a landlord, collecting rent from tenants who stayed in his parents' multiple properties. My dog's retarded.
Little bunny foo-foo.
Yes. Little bunny foo-foo. Suck his little wiener. I don't know what that was about. Bop it on the head.
Tom's got wieners on the mind.
Wieners. Though he... no, why probably? This is funny. I've been drawing dicks everywhere at work because I quit.
Are you secretly Jonah Hill from Superbad?
Somebody, remember? Don't you remember that fucking? Somebody said that somebody said a fan or somebody listens to the podcast said that I sound like Jonah Hill. I don't hear it. I've said it before, but somebody literally commented and said I sound like Jonah Hill.
Yeah, you do.
I don't hear it, but I said, I was like, I'm just gonna see. We have paint markers, right? I'm quitting. I'm starting a new job, building houses and stuff. So I started drawing we have white paint markers. So I put little dicks everywhere I could that people will find in a year or a couple months. So yes.
Oh, you can't see it. I wrote Thomas cringe in in Disappearing Ink.
Cringe. Where's that? Cringy ass bitch.
Cringy ass bitch.
Cringy ass bitch. Could have
Yeah,
started
but
saying it in the Hank Hill voice. I tell you what.
that's probably why. Because it's like, you know what? This will be hilarious for people down the road. Like, that's how you'll remember me. Is you'll just see dicks everywhere. It was funny. They're like literally everywhere. I drew at least like 15 to 20. I'm an asshole. So later on, they're gonna be like, "How the fuck?" I drew them so you could easily scrub them off. Okay. Though he had a well-paying job as an engineer at the engineering firm, Haigh became kind of jealous of McHaig's seemingly lavish lifestyle and the little effort he. You are a fucking retard.
Like,
this dog is retarded, man. Though he had a well-paying job in an engineering firm, Haigh became jealous of McSwan's lavish lifestyle and little effort he seemed to put into it. He probably worked hard for his living and now is being able to relax and live out a lavish life.
no, he was born rich.
McSwan, you think so?
That's the one that he was the chauffeur for, right?
Yeah, I guess the name McSwan does sound really hoity-toity.
They were a wealthy family that he worked for. That motherfucker didn't work either.
Yeah, it's true. Imagine that, like, man. Imagine just like not having to even worry about work and just go play properties and collect money.
That's why I always say I wish I was born rich instead of so goddamn good looking.
So, a few months later, after bumping into him, Haigh lured McSwan to an abandoned basement and fucking knocked him over the head. He said he'd give him a little tappy to. Tapped him on the head.
Lights, bopping him on the head.
Using his newfound disposal method, Haigh put McSweeney's body into a 40-gallon drum and filled it with concentrated sulphuric acid. 2 days later, McSwan was nothing more than 100 or so pounds of sludge, which Haigh poured into a manhole.
Tom knows a thing or two about manholes.
Pretty crazy how like he just all right, and then he just like dumped it, and then it would have been a heavy barrel. So wherever he did this at, he would have to carry it or somehow have it near the manhole.
He kept it in his work. It wasn't a manhole. So I don't know where you were researching, but from what I was researching, it was a little different. It wasn't a manhole. What it was is it was how in industrial workshops there's that drain in the middle when you stick everything down. That's what it was.
Ew, man. Imagine the fucking
chunks. Yeah, well, he tried not to retch while he was fucking, opening up the top of the barrel and was like, ugh! Like those kids in the last episode that we did that found the barrel that thought it was spoiled milk.
Yes. Spoiled milk, man. It could be worse though.
It was spoiled milk, man, not spoiled milk.
Riding the high of his successful murder, Haigh took over I want to say McSwaney's, like a restaurant, McSwan's landlord duties, telling McSwan's family that he ran away to avoid being drafted.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is,
oversimplifying it here. Let's give it the credit that it was due. This motherfucker worked out a whole con because this dude came up to him and was like, "Yo, I don't want to get drafted in World War II. I don't want to fight. I don't want to go to combat." His parents were British aristocrats who were apparently just like, "Yeah, I don't want my son going off and fighting fucking Germans for the crown either. That's not our war. We don't need to fight war. Let the commoners fight."
Yes, and supposedly he was a conscientious objector, which they used to round those motherfuckers up and put him in jail. So
there's, at least in America, there's, I believe, 2 religions that actually grant you conscientious objector status. One of which is the Quakers, which is the subset of Christianity, the one that most Amish comes from.
The guy that's on your oatmeal box.
Yeah. Because they are strict nonviolence. Yes. That movie that was made, Hacksaw Ridge, about the guy he was a Quaker. That's why he didn't carry a gun. Yes, that's why he didn't carry a gun. He got religious exemption, and they basically were like, we don't need you. And he's like, no, I want to enlist because I want to do my duty. He's like, I just can't, I'm not carrying a gun. And he almost got discharged so many fucking times for that. But we're getting off topic now.
Little bunny foo. Somebody in the Twitch. This all gets edited out of the audio most times if I talk shit to the Twitch people. But that I just think it is It is crazy, and he's like, yeah, you know what? This guy is gonna, you know what? He's he ran away. He didn't want to fight.
No,
And
it wasn't he ran away. It was your son. He went into hiding in order to avoid the Great War.
eventually, when the elder McSwans became suspicious, as their son had not returned home even after the draft was over, John Haigh killed them as well. But
yeah, he basically went through and arranged a meeting and said, "You guys got to come to my workshop in the dead of night. This is where your son is," because the war wasn't officially over yet, but the draft had already been kind of discarded. And he's like, "You guys got to come in, and we'll introduce you. We got to be really slick about it. We got to be really sneaky about it." And then the dad came in, blackjack to the back of the head, whack.
Yeah, so he knocked him out too.
Yep.
Well,
So the first 3 victims, I believe, were all knocked out by a blackjack, which for our listeners that don't know, a blackjack is basically a little leather pouch full of iron shavings. Cops used to carry it with them before nightsticks.
What? That's what it is?
That's what a blackjack is.
Oh, Necro's a rhyme about that. It's like hit you in the back with a blackjack and it's like it goes off fucking crack.
Yeah, you aim for the nut in the back of the head and out.
Oh, I thought a blackjack was just kind of like a bat or something. That's
I've also heard it described as a bat, but every time I've ever seen an image of a blackjack, it's a little like leather, like it almost is like the size of a shoehorn, but a little bit bigger, but it's full of iron shavings.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
I use a fucking sock full of fucking soap.
No, you don't. You just carry a 6-pound fucking black dildo with you. Don't lie to them. Don't lie to our listeners and insult their intelligence. It's
heavy, and you know what? When you get hit with it, it doesn't hurt as bad because it's pure rubber. So you just get fucking knocked the hell out.
So here's my theory with this shit. At least
with the big black dildo. Okay,
these first few victims were most likely alive when they went in the bath, or at very least they were alive when he started dismembering them.
So you're saying they were probably just knocked out then?
I think the first one, he bludgeoned his friend to death. He probably fractured his skull, and I think that one was probably definitely dead, but I believe his parents may have been alive. And later he switched it up and he didn't use a blackjack anymore, but we'll get to that. But yeah, because it doesn't really, the details are kind of murky on it, and I don't know if he just stuck them in the tub, or I know some of the later victims he dismembered and then put them in. So I'm willing to bet once he started dismembering his victims, they're probably still alive.
Which is really fucked up. Imagine you're unconscious, and then you wake up with a fucking saw through your leg.
That'd be fucked. I doubt that they woke up. Otherwise, they would. I'm sure he would, because he loved, like, making himself puffing up his chest and making his plumage a little big to try and make himself seem better than he was and bigger than he was to his fellow inmates. So he probably would have told us if he had, beat them to death a second time. But.
And every time I think about bodies being sawed up, it just always reminds me of Saw, the original one, where he has to cut his own ankle. Then it reminds me of Scary Movie, where he's fucking Dr. Phil's like,
oh yeah, the wrong ankle,
wrong foot, and he's like, what? So stupid.
Dr. Phil.
Yeah. He left with their money and I suppose with their properties, and Haigh moved to Onslow Court Hotel, Onslow Court Hotel in Kensington.
Mrs. Kensington, yes. So what he did is he forged documents granting himself power of attorney over their estate.
Yeah, he said didn't he say he was like a family member or something?
Something like that, a family member or just a close personal friend, and was looking after it while they went to go visit their son somewhere. And it being World War II, it's another killer that operated under the chaos of war.
Yeah, that is true. If you think about that too, it relates back to our Serial Killers of War episode.
Well, because when I was researching this, there were, a bunch of those, frequently also searched for, and Dr. Satan was one of them.
Yeah, Dr. Satan's the shit, man. However, it was roughly $10,000 he had stolen, but it didn't last long. And back then, $10,000 must have been like, I don't know, $50,000.
No, so $8,000 he got later, and they said, from what I was researching, they said that the adjusted for inflation, it's basically $500,000. So $10,000 is a little over. It's probably closer to $75,000 or $750,000. Yeah.
And back then, you could just live off that for a while. Like what? And it's just like, all right, let's just run through this cash quickly, because he had a gambling problem.
He dressed nice. They said even I'll get to that later. But he had fucking expensive taste. And I think a lot of this is due to it's very similar to the way that Crowley became Crowley because of his fucking overbearing religious upbringing. Because the more you shelter someone and the more you try and hide the world from them, the harder they're going to take it when they are forced to go into the world.
Yes, and they want to be, and then it lets out all these devious acts. I believe
they're devious or just strictly hedonistic ones. Like that's why so many people that grow up in heavy religious areas, even if they don't suffer abuse and they come from a loving religious, they end up all fucked up and like drunks or alcoholic or drunks or addicts and shit.
Or breaking a guy's brain with your fucking bum. My favorite Aleister Crowley story of all time.
Get over here and fuck me up the ass. Do it until you go mad.
Haigh was forced to obviously find another wealthy couple to kill and rob. And he would wear this outfit, this intense outfit. It's pretty crazy.
He also rigged up a pump. Once he did it a couple times, he rigged up a pump that made sure the acid didn't get on him.
Yeah, which is crazy. So he was intelligent to an extent, and he would wear these outfits, like the gloves, the apron, like a gas mask style, which you could find anywhere. It was fucking during the war.
And you were issued those for bombing raids.
Yes, and most people would have them just in case a little bomb may drop on you. And so he used this, and dressed all up in a fucking serial killer garb and someone like he's from literally Rob Zombie film, and he put him in a fucking vat of acid.
Have you ever seen the old carriages for babies that had the gas mask shit built into it? Stuff
creepy.
Yeah, for all of our listeners, pause the podcast right now and go Google that or DuckDuckGo it or everybody's fucking stealing your information now. It doesn't matter anymore.
Brave
is not a browser. Brave is a search engine. Or Brave is not a search engine. It's a browser, which I use. Brave is great.
It's supposed to be the only one left that actually has no.
I can't remember our. I'm not mentioning the other podcasts that you could be listening to right now, but they mentioned a couple other ones that they use for deep dive research, which I've been also checking out now. Which it gives you a lot better search results for shit.
When me and Billy covered necrophilia, I could not use Google. I had to use like a private search engine.
Necrophilia, when one has the uncontrollable urge to crack open a cold one.
Yes. He began to rent out a small workshop in Crowley, Sussex. Crowley. It's C-R-A.
What are you doing in Sussex, boy? Get over here and touch my ass.
Around an hour from London, he brought the acid barrels down from Kensington. Haigh met the couple when he was viewing their flat, pretending to be interested in purchasing it from them. Rose found Haigh played the piano and asked him to play at their housewarming party at their new property. And she was super into music and loved the piano, so they got along. And they were actually some of these people he became friends with. Most of them
loved him because he was really good at playing the part. He was a straight up sociopath. Yeah. He was really good at putting on the airs of being like, I'm a good boy. And he learned that from his religious upbringing because his parents would, beat the piss out of him whenever he would be doing sinful acts. So he learned how to hide it really well. It's that whole thing where if you're an over sheltering parent, you're not raising a good kid. You're raising a great liar.
Yeah. Helicopter. Yeah. I'm a great liar. I don't know if I am anymore, but I used to be. And Mom was like, well, fuck it. I would always lie. And I wasn't like sheltered to an extent. But they, all my friends would be out at my buddy's place when I was a teenager and I had a curfew and they're all there fucking getting drunk and getting high. I don't know why my mom didn't want me over there. So I had to sneak out of the house.
I wonder why.
On me. Yeah. So whilst at the party, Haigh actually stole the doctor's gun, and Haigh invited Dr. Henderson to his workshop in Crawley and showed him an invention that he had been working on. This is I call this my acid room. I
just painted a bunch of really cool shit on the walls, and he's got some cool lights, and we hang out and take some acid. And,
it would be funny if
I got beanbag chairs, man. I got legit beanbag chairs and like, a lamp. That's a good lamp. Yeah, he's tripping, but
it'd be crazy if he was on acid while putting people in acid. That would be awesome.
Dude, could you imagine how fucked would that be?
It's just like he's like, here, this is my new invention. It's in this barrel. Just drown the acid.
Yeah, some of his later murders, from what I was researching, they were saying that he would like he was telling people after he got caught that he was cutting off little pieces, and like after a while he started doing it slowly because he was in love with the process at that point and like liked watching it begin to dissolve and fold in on itself, and it's just like, I
don't know. That sounds really interesting, actually.
Just being fucking
so that
burns out of your skull, being like,
oh fuck, Haigh. Like imagine when you're on mushrooms and you try cooking, like especially meat. It's just it's fucking trippy and it makes you think weird thoughts.
Yeah, where you're like, I'm a terrible person for eating this.
Haigh shot the doctor in the head with his own gun that he stole from him earlier. Pretty crazy.
All things considered, these guys, the people that he shot in the head, were the lucky ones.
Yeah,
because they were definitely dead.
Mm-hmm. He then contracted Rose Henderson to tell her that her husband. Then he contacted Rose Henderson to tell her that her husband had fallen ill and she needed to come and see him at his place in Crawley, and also shot her on arrival. Haigh disposed of the bodies in barrels again. To ensure he was given control of their assets, he forged a letter again in the doctor's name. He sold all of their possessions, amounting to £8,000, which is around $9,000 in United States. In the dollar,
no. That's a wrong inflation. It's close to $500,000. So did I.
Oh, not the inflation. I'm talking about at the time, £8,000, or if £8,000 is equivalent to almost $9,000. So
yes. But today it would be about $500,000. That's why I'm saying that the £10,000 he got previously is got to be closer to 750, like $750,000.
If he would have just took both, even these two amounts of money, and everything he got beforehand, you could have just had a normal life.
They had nothing on him. Yeah. Nothing. He executed those crimes so meticulously that he would have gotten away with it scot-free. But he was a degenerate gambler.
Yes. And
I'm not calling gamblers degenerates. This guy was a degenerate gambler because it led to the degeneration of his wealth.
Yeah, and it is true in the fact that, it's just crazy how he could have fucking just, I don't know, he could have got away with it.
He really could have.
He was braggadocious and and he fed into it. And at the same time, if you look at Bundy or any other serial killers, even though some of the more well-known ones, once you get good at it, like that whole thing of what Bundy said about, the hammer or whatever, the fucking
the wrench or whatever. He's just like the first time you have every detail planned down to the time, to this and that. And he's like, in the 12th time, you forget where you put the fucking wrench.
Yeah, see, and after a while, you just get used to it in this process of doing it where you think that this is easy. I can get away with this every time.
Yep.
Until you don't. So he actually kept their car and their dog, which the dog is like, fuck is this guy, man?
How did that dog not? Well, I mean, that alone, you'd be kind of like, that dude must have actually been that good of a manipulator that he was able to hide the scent from the dogs. Because dogs know when somebody's a fucking piece of shit.
Yes. They can tell. Yeah, they can definitely tell.
I think it just becomes like, because 70% of communication is nonverbal, at least with humans. So with dogs, they're able to pick up on that shit because there is no verbal with people. I mean, there is, but not. The language isn't. They don't have the magic of language with them.
Yes.
The other thing we're completely glossing over the rootin' tootin' time he had with this couple. They fucking loved his ass.
Did they have a swinger party or something?
I don't know. I was wondering the same thing when I was researching. I was like, I think he was fucking the mistress, because the husband. One of the things they bonded on is that they were all they all thought that he was a very well put forth gentleman, but he had his own vices, and he was open about being a gambler and shit. And her husband was an alcoholic, and that was his vice. And he
High
was just
five! We're both addicts.
Yeah, you like gambling? I love drinking. You want to fuck my wife?
That's pretty much, I think, how it went down.
Yeah.
And by 1949, Haigh was still living in an Onslow court hotel and was calling himself an engineer. He was running out of money again, so he sought out his final victim. I love this chick's name, man.
And this is where he fucked up.
Yep. Olive Durant Deacon.
That's a great name.
Olive Durant Deacon. It's very old school. And every time I hear, and every time I hear Olive, it just reminds me of fucking Popeye the Sailor Man. Doot, doot.
I live in a garbage can. Doot, doot. You open the door, I shit on the floor. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. Doot, doot.
I always say that my chef called someone got pink eye, one of the servers, and he called her Poop Eye the Sailor Man, and it made me cry laughing. Poop Eye. He's like, oh, there's Poop Eye the Sailor Man. I was like, you're a fucking dick, bro.
The next time I know anyone that got pink eye, I'm calling him Poop Eye the Sailor Man.
But I just a weird quick thing on fucking Papa. What a rapey fucking cartoon, bro. That guy always steals Olive, and she's like punching his back, and he just wants to fuck Olive, and she like. He like takes her, and then Popeye has to fight him to get Olive back.
I might be misremembering this, but there are plenty of episodes where Popeye and Brutus are competing for Olive, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know which one of you I want." Also, why y'all competing over that ugly ass fucking pole? Olive, Shelley Duvall was the perfect person. Don't fucking at me, listener. She's an ugly ass broad. I'm sorry, she is
worse now. She looks horrible.
Let's not pick on somebody for their mental health issues. Thank you. None of us are going to age like wine. We're going to fucking decay. But even back in the day, I've never once looked at Shelley. I mean, I'm not the person to be saying this, but have you ever once looked at Shelley Duvall and been like, wow, pretty woman?
Oh, never. I want to get into this eventually for a watch party. But is the fairy tale theater, that shit is fucking weird. She's in that.
Oh yeah, that's just trippy as fuck.
We should do that for a commentary that's coming up on the Patreon. Also, Olive
/strangebrew
podcast. Olive 60, she was 69, was a wealthy widow who also lived in the same hotel that he did. She knew Haigh was supposedly an engineer, and she told him about her idea for false nails.
Yep. She wanted to invent fake
crazy, eh?
nails.
Nuts. And you know what? If she did this, there would be a bunch of fucking strippers at a strip club with nails long as the eye can see where they snort coke from them. Wait, that did happen.
Dude, so one of these days, hopefully soon, I'm gonna get the stilettos.
Are you gonna get one of the fucking Marilyn Manson ones that has a long fucking claw?
No. I'm getting I'm gonna have the stiletto nails. Like the little the claws that girls are getting now. What do you mean why? Because they look fucking awesome. Why wouldn't
you're not gonna be able to write with a pencil because your nails will be too long.
Next time you come over, I could take my nails like a dragon down your back.
So Haigh took the opportunity to invite Olive to his workshop. And on the 18th in February 1949, Olive traveled the hour journey with him to his workshop, where he shot her in the neck with the same fucking pistol from the doctor, Dr. Henderson's revolver.
But this one.
What did he do?
No, she didn't survive.
No. But imagine a shot in the neck would be pretty bad because you would still be alive for an extended period of time.
The Sergio Leone film, Once Upon a Time in America, where the dude gets shot in the neck.
Oh, you're like, oh yeah.
No, Godfather. In Godfather, he gets shot in the fucking neck.
Shot in the neck would be brutal, but also like there's people that have killed themselves out there by slicing their own throat, which is fucked up to me.
You can't give yourself a full second smile, but I think you can hit your jugular.
So fucked up, man. I don't know how people do that shit. He removed. I don't know why. I want to know why. He removed her jewelry and obviously the expensive black Persian fur coat she was wearing, and put her in the acid bath. And yeah, he said he liked the way that they folded up. Like
he would watch the acid bubble and then fold, everything would just fold in on itself and
so fucked up. Olive's friend Constance Lane. That's an old school fucking.
It's like Gertrude.
Yes, very old school name. Reported her missing 2 days later. Sergeant Alexandra Lamborn was assigned to Olive's case and visited Constance Lane. And Constance told Sergeant Lamborn that Olive was a aloof woman. What's an aloof woman?
Aloof. She's unaware.
She's dumb.
She's flittery. She's very she's off in space all the time. She's aloof. She's unaware. She doesn't pay attention.
She's blonde.
Yeah. How funny. You're so vapid. Oh my God. Thank you so much. You're like the fifth person to tell me that.
She disliked people and crowds and was strong-minded. She said she always wore specific jewelry, including rings and a pearl necklace, whenever she left her hotel room. You laughing at the pearl necklace?
Yeah.
Isn't that just where you come on their fucking neck to make a necklace?
Yeah, it's just when you're nut on somebody's face or their chest. Pearl necklace. You said you gave Mary Jane a pearl necklace. How much did that cost? Clearly y'all missed the point of that story.
What's that from?
Half-Baked.
Oh yeah, Sergeant Lambourne spoke to John Haigh, who told her that he. Oh, the sergeant is a woman. I guess her name is Alexandra. Wow.
I don't know about that. I don't think no, it's probably a man.
He said he told her that he saw Olive before she left the hotel.
Her friend saw Olive.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
No, Tom, this was the 40s. Women weren't allowed to do shit.
Way. Yeah, I was like, there's no way this. But you know what, Sergeant Alexandra, I don't know who named you, but that's a fucking pathetic name for a man.
What are you talking about? That's arguably one of the strongest names for a man ever.
Alexandra, it's
Alexander.
No,
Alexander. But Alexandria was the city that Alexander founded. So
whatever. Fucking. So Olive said she said she saw Olive left the hotel that day, and she was wearing her statement black Persian fur coat. Lambourne found it odd that Haigh lived in the hotel whose occupants were mainly older people, a lot of older women too.
Yes,
rich older women, and she had an uneasy feeling about Haigh and thought he may be involved. Can we fucking look up this? It says it's a fucking chick. It says it's a chick.
The sergeant?
Yes, which I'm looking at her up right now because I don't know how that's possible. Alexandria Lambourne.
Detective Inspector Albert Webb.
Why did it lie to me?
Because I don't know.
No, for Chelsea's business. Oh, that's funny. This routine inquiry, they sent along Sergeant Alexandra Maud Lambourne. Her middle name was Maud. Says it's a chick.
Where are you reading this?
Fucking on Google.
Huh.
Google.
I don't know. I got nothing here on that one.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, we shall never know. We shall never know. But it says it's a girl in the research I had, which is actually pretty interesting. I just don't believe it at the time. It just doesn't make sense. And yeah, so like she had an uneasy feeling about Haigh and thought he may be involved. A tele-description was sent out to all the police divisions by Inspector Sims by that evening.
Oh, okay, so possibility. It was just at the ass end of World War II. So they could have very well taken on female inspectors during World War II when all the men were off.
Well, and that makes fucking sense, actually. That actually makes a lot of sense. Because they had to
give them props for being progressive, but
yeah, they had
I retract
women in jobs that were normally male because the men were off fighting Hitler and his fucking Nazi goons. We did
that in America too. That's actually the one of the central themes in the story of the Mothman. Is the woman worked at the TNT factory because women worked in munitions factories because there were very few men to actually, stay.
Yep. And then women showed their gumption, and then the Rothschilds came along, sponsored the feminist movement to.
Oh my God! No, not this episode. Shut up.
He started looking into Haigh due to Lambourne's comments.
We almost got through one, you son of a bitch.
And Detective Inspector Webb went back to Onslow to question the hotel manager, Miss Robbie. She told them that she had never seen any visitors with Haigh and that he wore expensive clothes and drove flashy cars because he also had the car that he stole from the fucking one family, but also he bought a brand new car too.
Mm-hmm.
And this is back when they would have a little Ethiopian boy turn your engine from the inside.
From the inside? Was it the fucking Flintstones?
He also
living.
He was also late paying for his room recently, which eventually was settled 2 days before Olive went missing. So he's like, he's like, I got the money now.
Yeah. You're 4 days late on your rent. Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Go.
Sims and Webb went upstairs to speak to Haigh in his room where he invited them in. He recalled the same statement he told Lambourne earlier that day. He added that Olive was carrying a red bag when she left the lobby, which is a weird detail to even just to be like, oh yeah, I saw her. She was carrying this. But you didn't need to make that detail.
It's one of those things to make it oddly specific where it's like too much detail kind of gives it away that they're like, why do you fucking say the bag was red? What does that have to do with anything?
Guess what they found later. What Haigh didn't realize is that Inspector Sims already knew him. He already questioned Haigh earlier, years earlier actually, and he knew he was a con man.
in reference to the fraud, I believe, because he was never investigated for any of the other murders because no one knew anything went down. So
telling his homeboy, he's like, yo, this guy's a fucking dick. Back at the station, Sims ordered a record to search on John Haigh from Scotland Yard, which is pretty cool. Yeah, they would have got Scotland Yard involved. This did at least bring up all of the charges that he was charged with, which he so obviously Sims was like, this guy's sketchy. I've definitely interviewed him before. I remember him. So let me just look up every little detail I can and see what this guy's really about.
Well, the dude's been arrested like 4 and imprisoned like 3 to 4 times for fraud. Doesn't exactly come off as a trustworthy individual.
Oh.
Of course, any halfway decent detective is going to be like, I'm going to follow up on this.
Yeah. So then the search came back with all of Haigh's convictions, and it detailed his history of the crime, or history with crime at least. And however, a white-collar crime like fraud didn't usually amount to murder, so he wasn't initially convinced that Haigh killed Olive.
Right.
By the next morning, Olive's image was in newspapers and distributed by officers to taxi drivers, but no one had seen her since her departure from the hotel. Another occupant of the Onslow Court Hotel came forward to tell police that she had seen Olive in the lobby of the hotel in the morning, and Olive had told witnesses that she was driving to Crawley with Mr. Haigh. So there's a witness right there that's like, yeah, I saw her, and she said she was off with Mr. John, and he had been the only witness to see her allegedly slow departure from the hotel that day. And Sims set out about getting inside of the workshop in Crawley, and inside that workshop was sparse, but filled with few boxes, tools, empty bottles of sulphuric acid littered the sideboards. And he had a lot of these like little bottles, like almost like mason jar style.
Most likely just your typical brown glass bottle that you would keep caustic liquids in.
Yep, for some strange reason.
Because they can't get sunlight.
Yeah, the windows were painted over, and there was a little light entering the building, so it looked fairly creepy, I'm sure. The only items, it's like, what are you doing in here, bro? Like, what the like? You say this is a
workshop. You're not gonna make if you're not entertaining people, you're gonna cut corners where you can. So if only you are there, you're not gonna have a lavish fucking workshop. Who the fuck are you trying to impress?
So the only item that looked at a place was the only item that looked out of place was a locked leather hat box, which had been taken into evidence. You know what's crazy? Hat boxes are fucking weird. My grandma died. My mom gave Chelsea some of her old hats, and my grandma had full blown like 1920s like old lady style hats in these hat boxes. And
it was a thing, dude. It was like a formal thing. You had to wear a fucking hat. Like, I don't know why, but you did.
If I can find them, I'll wear them. I'll wear one on one. Sims received the report that on the contents of the hat box, once it had been forced open, it contained the revolver belonging to Dr. Henderson.
Archibald.
8 rounds of ammunition in an envelope, heavy red cellophane paper, and a receipt from a dry cleaning shop near Crawley for a black Persian fur coat. So he probably got it clean before he probably stole it. You know?
Yep.
So Haigh was kept at the police station whilst Sims and Superintendents Barrett and Mahone drove to the hotel to search Haigh's room. They returned hours later to the station with several items in their possession. This search brought back a black The search brought back a shirt covered in bloodstains and a penknife with blood on it. They also recovered a shopping list written by Haigh. Acid,
bread, butter,
milk,
knife, eggs,
acid. And then it included, which is so stupid he left this fucking around, but which he disposed of another body, and that included items for which he disposed of one of the other bodies, including a carboys of acid, which are like bottles, rubber gloves, cellophane, and cotton wadding. And it's just fine because eventually he bragged about his murders to the cops.
What's the stuff in the little case? The 3 little things.
We'll get into that. So that's the gallstones. We'll get into. So which is pretty crazy. And so If I tell you the truth, you would not believe it. The truth sounds too fantastic for belief. Mr. Durant Deacon no longer exists. Okay, wait, let me do a. If I don't tell you the truth, you would not. 1, 2, 3. If I told you the truth, you would not believe it. The truth sounds too fantastic for belief. Mrs. Durand Deacon no longer exists. She had disappeared completely. No trace of her can be found. Again, I have destroyed her with acid. Every trace has gone. How can you prove murder if there is no body?
Yeah, this motherfucker cops to all of his murders because he's like,
he confessed everything.
There's no body, bitch. You can't convict me. And they're like, you just confessed, you fucking idiot.
Someone's dying out there.
Mm-hmm.
Haigh confessed to killing Olive. He just confessed it. He didn't even need to because he thought that there was no body, so he could just get away with it.
He was literally that egotistical that he figured he's like, yeah, if there's no body, they won't convict me. It's like, yeah, except you gave them the one thing that's more important than a body. You gave him a fucking confession, you idiot.
Has confessed to killing Olive, the McSwans, and the Hendersons, and he was doing it in the documentary I watched with the actor that they played. Did it very well, where he just was like very smug about it.
Yeah,
which is fucking nuts. And however, he said that it could not be proven because there was no body. And he also said too, he was like, well, we can charge you. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, you don't need just a body. And he was like, what? And he's like, yeah. When the detectives were talking to him, he's like, what about someone who's insane? And the cops are like, well, I get you'll be sent to an asylum.
And he asked, he's like, how often do people get released from psych centers?
Yeah, it's like crazy. So that's when he told police that he was drinking the blood of his victims and was driving him insane, and that he had no proof there's no proof that he ever did this. But he did tell the cops that he like drilled an incision in the back of their necks and then drank their blood. And
so what that comes from is it comes from his dream that he would have,
which we're going to get into in soon. Soon we'll get into his dreams by a psychologist. So forensics soon realized that the brown sludge behind the workshop was human fucking remains. Mm-hmm. On closer inspection, cringe.
Cringy ass bitch.
On closer inspection, pathologist Keith Simpson found 28 pounds of body fat. Fucking disgusting. Part of a foot, gallstones, and part of a denture, which was identified as Olive Durant Deacon at the trial by her dentist. And dentist, there's the gallstones. Dentist, obviously, are there's his funny gloves. The dentist is pretty smart, I could say.
Mm-hmm.
Like that he knew, and I just think dentistry.
Dental records. That's how victims are identified all the time. If you die in a bad fire, you're identified through dental records usually.
Through your teeth.
Doesn't make your dentist extra smart. It just makes them a competent dentist.
Do you think their teeth were all sideways and shit?
They're British, of course they were.
In early August 1949.
I love you, British listeners. I'm kidding.
Yes, we're just joking. We have a lot of downloads in the UK. What's up, fuckers? Haigh was put on trial at Sussex Assizes in Lewis, and he couldn't afford his own defense. So the News of the World newspaper, News of the World, where you can find out that aliens abduct people and insert things in their butthole. That's
Weekly World News.
Yeah, it just sounds like one of those newspapers.
News of the World.
It's a newspaper offered to pay for obviously an exclusive story. So they paid for his lawyer on the thing where you gotta give us the exclusive story. You gotta give us lowdown. Because after I think shout back to check out our Jack the Ripper episodes, the fucking two-parter we did on that motherfucker. But once that became a thing, especially in like Britain and stuff like that, it was sensationalized.
Yeah.
So it kind of became, it was like newspapers knew that true crime would sell.
Why true crime now? No.
Yes. So the jury took only minutes to deliberate his fate. They found him sane and guilty of murdering 6 people, and that he would not be allowed to appeal his sentencing. When being transferred to Wandsworth Prison, God, these fucking Wandsworth. Haigh asked one of the prison guards if it would be possible to have a trial run of his hanging to iron out any issues. It's like, can I just see how this works? Let's go outside and put me on the rope, and I won't run. I definitely won't run.
Yeah, what the fuck was up with that? This like
Pretty weird, eh?
that is very odd. I think maybe that was him trying to get like a last minute like, no, look, I'm mad. See, no, I'm positively mad.
I'm eating my own poopy. I'm pissing in my mouth. Look at me. I'm crazy.
Yeah.
In prison, his physician, Dr. Yellowless, noted his childhood nightmares, which Haigh claimed lure him to become a bloodlusting murderer. I saw crucifixes which gradually turned into trees. At first I seemed to see the dew or the rain running from the branches, but when I came nearer, I knew it was blood. All of a sudden, the whole forest began to twist about, and the trees streamed with blood. Blood ran from the trunks. Blood ran from the branches. All
trees
shining
like
red.
hard cocks, and they began to ooze blood from their pee holes.
That is Anton's nightmare, or maybe a dream. All red and shiny blood would come from the branches. I felt weak and seemed to faint. I saw a man going around the trees gathering blood. When the cup he was holding in his hands was full, he came up to me and said, "Drink." But I was paralyzed. The dream vanished, but I still felt faint and stretched out with all of my strength towards the cup. Freaky nightmare, man.
Fucked up. Real fucked up.
That voice was a little reminiscent of fucking good old fucking werewolf man.
Albert Fish.
Yeah. She let me spank her with the ping pong paddle.
No, he wasn't he the Spanky?
He was the Spanky. So he told Dr. Yellowless that his visions, which it led him to his vicious path. And on Wednesday, 10th August, 1949, John George Haigh, the acid bath murderer, was hanged, as Billy would say. It's fucking hung! Hanged.
John George Jingleheimer
was hanged at Wandsworth Prison while a crowd of over 500 fucking people gathered outside the prison. It's like, we haven't seen enough death and murder with the war. Let's go watch this.
Public executions were a long-standing British tradition since the fucking Middle Ages.
And they didn't have no TV. Well, they did at this time. They had
movies. It was 1949. Of course they had fucking TV.
They had movies.
The Beatles are like 10 years away.
Yeah, it's true. And so they have nothing else to do, so they gather outside the prison. And the news of the world got an exclusive, and he donated one of his favorite suits to Madame was it Trousseau's the fucking wax museum.
Yeah, the Tower of London Wax Museum or whatever.
Which would be awesome to go to if I could ever leave my country, or at least get back into it. But that's pretty cool, like crazy that he just like, you know what, you want to make me a fucking wax figure and I'll live in infamy.
Yeah, he's an egotistical prick, so of course he's like, I'm gonna be immortalized in a wax museum. This is sweet.
John George Haigh motives were never clear despite his insanity pleas. Some believed he thought he was a vampire, doubtful, who enjoyed drinking blood.
I think this dude was honestly, if anything, just legitimately sane. Like, he had a fucked up upbringing for sure, and that probably led to the degeneracy because he, became very good at being a liar and became very sneaky and things like that. And it probably agitated an already burgeoning psychopathy. That coupled with him living during wartime and World War II, probably a whole bunch of conditions that created him into what he was. And I'm assuming that his first murder, not assuming, but it really does seem like his first murder was simply because he was tired of getting fucking caught for scams.
Yes, and to me, it was all about money for him.
Yeah, that's why I don't buy the drinking of the blood thing. I think he definitely had that nightmare, but I think he said that because he was trying to get, put into an asylum so he had delusions of getting out and doing it all over again.
And the crazy thing is, do you really want to go into an asylum back then, man? You're
like,
up with the crazy ones, and the people who have mental illness, like really
still
severe.
Better than dancing on the end of a rope, I guess. But not really. I'd almost rather just fucking hang myself at that point.
I'd rather be hung, as Billy would say. I'd rather be hanged.
Who wouldn't there, sugar tits?
At this, compared to being in a insane asylum where you technically could be in, a straitjacket, and maybe your guy in the next cell when you get out on fucking the hallway duty where you're allowed to roam the hallways, fucking freaking out. A guy throws poop at you all day.
Well, I think there were probably, like everything else at this time, there were probably different wings for people of different standing in society. Yes. Like if you were, an heiress to a fortune or something, and your family was like, she's a bit temperamental because you decided that, you were your own person and you had your own thoughts, like they did with women all the time back in the day, which is fucking fucked up. But then you'd probably go to the nice psychiatric wing where it's like, no, she's in a nervous hospital, as opposed to being like, she is in the fucking chained to a radiator, shitting herself, fucking hospital.
She got the fucking wheelchair treatment where she's like, they push her around a wheelchair even though she doesn't really need it, and they just put her.
Lovely day in the garden today, isn't it? Yeah, she's just all whacked out on Thorazine the whole time.
Some people, and others, obviously, they think that he was just a cold-hearted killer who believed that he could get away with murder if the body was never found. If Haigh had been more meticulous, he may have continued to get away with his crimes.
Like we said earlier, if Haigh just wouldn't have been a fucking degenerate goddamn gambler, he probably wouldn't have had to have killed so many people, and he would have gotten away with it scot-free.
And that was the acid bath murderer. I want to touch upon this before, we're very soon going to start dipping our toe even deeper into the world of true crime.
That's what we've been doing lately is fucking true crime.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of true crime lately because I said that I want to, we were slacking to me a little bit on covering serial killers more because we're getting into stuff like aliens and paranormal style episodes. But I would like to, like we said, we're going to start diving into some really big names. It will come down the pipeline. We wanted to start in a certain fashion kind of to get into it and, start go back in the time machine, go back to the, the 40s and the 50s and lead up, into the 70s and 80s when serial killers seemed to be run rampant everywhere you went in every fucking
lead in the water.
Yes, there's some, that could be the case. Or the reptilians had a plan to distract the world from what was really going on and who had to pump up the fear. Bingo. I fucking haven't said
there's better ways that they could have gone about pumping up the fear.
War helped. But
war never changes. I know you don't get that, but our listeners do. I know some of our listeners play Fallout and they get the Ron Perlman war never changes.
But there's a lot of stuff coming down. I hope you guys are excited because there's lots to come on Strange Brew Podcast. We're going to dive into a bunch of different stuff. Billy's going to try to get on as often as he can. You'll hear coming up in the summer will be a lot of fun episodes with we're planning to do a couple, all three of us together once again. And for some big cases that some will some cases will be things that we've covered in the past that have been since X'd out in the annals of the Strange Brew history.
Anal.
So we're doing we're gonna cover some really fucked up crazy topics coming up soon. It's gonna be really exciting. I'm excited and I hope you're excited because we love all the host heads out there and we appreciate you. And like I said before, give us even if you don't go on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, even if you just go out of your way to literally give us a 5-star review and give us a little nice comment of how you enjoyed the show, we would highly appreciate that. It does help the numbers because one of our most downloaded apps, you could say, are Apple Podcast. A lot of people that have iPhones just use that because it's very simple, but also Spotify is out there. You can give us a 5-star review on Spotify. So yeah, we appreciate everything. And for everyone that, wants to help support Strange Brew, go on the Patreon because there's a lot of fun stuff on there. It's going to be different too. It's not going to be your everyday Strange Brew style things. We're doing commentary for horror movies, which will be like obscure, fucking funny ass, weird horror movies. And get ready for that because me and Anton are going to do Nightmare on Elm Street 5 where Freddy has a fucking kid to start.
All of our Patreon people. I know this episode is going to be out. Our commentary track will be up on Patreon by the time this episode's out.
It should be, yes. And it'll be a lot. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be a great time. Yeah, we're recording that this weekend. Obviously patreon.com/strangebrewpodcast. Teespring for all of your merch needs. Tom is for any of you that can see it right now. Tom is repping our shit, and my flag is on the way.
Yes.
So I'll have that beautiful poster that's behind Tom and that shirt that he's wearing up behind me and all of that, and in my Twitch streams.
Yes.
100%. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Go on down. Give us a little 5-star and a sweet little sentiment.
Yes, and we'll appreciate that because we appreciate you. And just remember, everybody out there, stay strange.
Everybody love everybody.
Yes. All right, smoking up on the pipe while we end this. Hit it up.
Strange Brew.
All right, end your recording, motherfucker. All right, thanks for all the tuners in on YouTube and Twitch, motherfuckers. Yes.